Hey everyone, so I've been sharing some things about my life. Like at the moment I'm just sort of stuck here in Kalispell trying to save my money and figure out where I'm going to go to live next, if I'm going to stay in this house or move to Denver. And once I've resettled, I want to start my music project as soon as I can. And before I do all that though, I feel like there's some old issues that I have to find resolve with, which are a big part of the reason I came to Montana, because you know, going into visionary state and all that stuff has kind of alienated me from my friends and family to some extent. And well, Rosie Clearlight was the only person I could really talk to, so that's a big part of the reason I'm up here. And since I've been here, she died of cancer, so I've been on my own for just a little over a year, just trying to get my act together here. And so I also started a series called the JodyVision to help work on this discussion. And so I feel like I'm kind of getting to the meaty center, right? So I've introduced you to my story about going into visionary state and meeting Billy, who is said to be Billy of Frontline Assembly. So that led up to me wanting to meet him. And by meeting him, a lot of things went wrong with that. And so that's what I call the crazy making experience now. I feel like I've made some progress on finding resolve, but I'm not really there yet. And so just for fun, I did a little Christmas song I call Jody the FLA Fan. And so if you've heard that, that is kind of the gist of it, is like basically, you know, I thought Billy was somebody I knew. And so I ended up going on the internet, like, because I wasn't able to talk to him in person or get a reply to my letter. So I was trying to get through to him on mindphaser.com. So the biggest mistake I made is sharing my story with too many of the wrong people, really. Otherwise, you know, maybe I wouldn't have had to experience the repercussions and all the, you know, so I got put down a lot. You know, a lot of people took the opportunity to insult me or hurt my feelings. And then that snowballed into me, you know, wanting to lash out and just, you know, probably saying a lot of stuff I didn't need to say either. So it made me look like I'm just talking shit about Billy because I'm a disgruntled fan or just a malcontent and I'm a psycho and all this type of stuff. Like there's just, I feel like I'm being held fully accountable for all the negativity that came out of this, where I feel like that's where the situation's not really fair, because the negativity really stems from, it seemed like 25 years ago when I met Bill Lee. I was meeting him at a major turning point in his life where his marriage wasn't going so well, and I think he was taking an interest in other women. And so the wife was in Denver to intercept not only me but another woman. So it really wasn't my fault that this is going on with Bill. So it's sort of like his fault, and his wife, and it's the narcissistic system that they belong to, because instead of just saying, hey Jody, we got your letter, I'm Bill's wife, and just let's have a talk, it turned into this sort of whispering in each other's ears and spreading the message that I'm a psycho bitch trying to get the husband in bed. And so that's where I got a bad reputation for being a psycho bitch and for being a stalker, because I thought she was trying to make friends with me, and I was trying to invite both Bill and his wife to my house to tell them what I'm trying to get done. And so he came over to both of us and said where they were going to their hotel. So I thought I was being invited to the hotel, and I went to the hotel and got called a stalker. And so this all kind of erupted into other things. So I want to get into that later, but the reason I'm explaining this is because that's what my little song's about. And it's like, really, I just wanted to join his band, and for all we know, I could be writing some pretty nice bass lines for them. For all they know, I could have been one of his best keyboard players. I mean, I feel like the one thing that qualifies me, one of the main things that qualifies me to join a band, what you call Frontline Assembly, is I can play keyboard, and I will play my keyboard a little bit more for you in the upcoming videos. I got an old piano, so I'm going to show you that I can play the keyboard and I can fight. I got a black belt in 2 systems of martial arts. I've been taking martial arts here, mixed martial arts, so learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, and kickboxing. I think I could get all these people that wanted to put me down, and I could be in the octagon and they can all get in line. All these people, like, we could take the ex-wife, we could take the ex-girlfriend, everybody that wanted to give me a bad name, I would love to just have them all stand in line. I'm so fat and out of shape, but I will tell you what, next, 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 I can play keyboard and I can fight. So just a little just saying, you know, so that's probably why this woman, you know, went through all this trouble to do what you call a smear campaign. So this is part of narcissistic behavior, you know. Instead of just coming face to face with me, she ran a smear campaign, and it ended up just kind of embarrassing and humiliating me. So I saw them in 98 and 99, and both times went home crying. I've thought a lot about ending my life because it's contributing to a lack of self-confidence, you know. It's been making me feel very bad about myself and all this stuff. And so that's where I really want to put all this in perspective, because it's something that I'm still healing from and something that I still need to find resolve for. And so far, I want to say thanks to Bill Lee, because he's never really been directly mean to me. I feel like he's always tried to be gentle. I feel like he's trying to do the right thing. But there's certain people around him, like, again, the ex-wife, the ex-girlfriend, certain other people have, it's as if they're acting on his behalf, but they're saying stuff I don't really want to hear, right? Some stuff that hurts my feelings. And, but it seems to contradict what he's saying, you know. So I feel like when I come in contact with Bill, it's like, you're always welcome to call or write, or like if I come up to him at a show, we could talk, but his girlfriend here, and then there will be this woman that's just like, there was this girl actually when I went to see them in 2007. So let me show you this picture here. So this is Bill Lieb and I in 2007, and the reason this picture was taken was because a friend of mine had his camera, and I was like, hey, take our picture. So I put my arm around Bill, and I was just kind of being, I guess I was making fun of myself, because like I'm just like, oh, Bill Lee, but and then a week later I had to go to my 2nd degree black belt testing. So that's me and my instructors in Denver. And it looked like they could be my aunt and uncle, right? And then there's Master Tay, the Chinese guy. I'm going to tell you about Master Tay, who wrote that book I've been sharing. I got my book weighed down with these phones because it's got a curly cover. But anyways, this is a picture of Bill Lee from a magazine that I had handed to me in '93. And so the reason I saved that is because I felt like that was a very important point in my life. Because when my dad handed me that magazine, I thought I heard him say, isn't that your little friend from down the street? And so that day I started realizing I might know Bill Lee from somewhere. And that's when I started thinking, you know, so when I talk about that first leg of my visions, it's kind of the nice part where I'm being introduced to Billy, and it seems like it's just telling me I should get into the music business. Like my dad even contacted Gary Livermore of Bushido, who started Third Mind Records, and he even suggested I get into the music business. So then after that I saw Bill Lee a couple times in my visions, and it was, again, you should get in the music business. And that's what I thought, I'd like to think this is about. But then when I meet him in person, so the next section of my story, it drives me crazy. It makes me feel very bad about myself, and I end up doing a lot of stuff that I regret, and it makes you think, you know, maybe Bill Lee is being used as a weapon against me rather than something to be helpful to me, you know, if you look at the way this is unfolding. But anyways, when I had a chance to meet Bill Lee, there's this chick that comes and picks him up at the show with long dark hair, and she kept trying to keep us from talking. Like, I got to go to the church and hang out with them, and then we went to the Netherworld bar to shoot pool, and she looked like she was getting really frustrated. I was getting really frustrated, then she started getting really frustrated, and then she came over from the other end of the room to pick a fight with me, and he was like running after her to stop it, you know. It's like, you know, like, so it kind of made me realize, you know, Bill likes to kind of play with people a little bit. Like, I feel like he's kind of teasing both of us for wanting him even, like, and so that's another part of narcissistic behavior. Sometimes somebody like that, you know, maybe he feels bad about himself, so he's kind of laughing at us like, you want me? Do you have any idea what a jerk I am? For all we know, that could be what's going through his mind. But, you know, he is, a lot of people think Bill Lee's a nice guy, and I think if he was somebody that beats people up, that we would know that. I think, you know, his wife would have probably told us by now. So I just think it's more like passive-aggressive type of narcissism, just kind of like making us girls mad at each other. And then he's probably got a big boner. Like when that lady was running over there to kick my ass, I bet he was trying not to let anyone see it, you know. But stuff like that. So, you know, there's a lot of like weird little details and stuff through my story. I feel like it's pretty long. There's a lot of details here, and a lot of reasons why it makes it hard for me to just walk away, because this is somebody who I normally wouldn't want to talk to anyways. Like, I don't go up to rock stars and people like that to make friends with them. It seems like you have to also be a rock star, or you have to be a model, and I'm none of the above, right? So I think that I'm a real artist, but that I'm trapped here and I haven't been doing my artwork enough to prove it. So I feel like in order for me to talk to Bill Leib, I have to prove that I'm an artist, or I have to be a model, or, you know, something like that. But so this isn't somebody I would normally talk to. So anyways, due to the circumstances, I've gotten to know him over time, and I feel like I've always just loved him. Like, so in the visionary state, when I first seen him, I knew I loved him, and in reality, when I first met him in '96, we didn't really get to talk, but I knew I loved him. And every time, so that's why in that picture, you know, when I put my arm around him, my tendency is just, I just want to hug and sink into him, like, oh. And it kind of reminds me of my friend Rosie Clearlight, was introduced to her pet Rottweiler for the first time. The dog came in the house and ran up to her and just leaned right into her leg. Like, they don't even know each other, but this dog knew she loved Rosie. So I'm a little bit like that old Rottweiler. You know, I'm kind of the scary, deadly person, but, and psycho, I don't know, just kidding. Right, so I think maybe some people find me intimidating, but like that Rottweiler, if you're on my good side, I'm a leaner, you know, I'm a loyal, loving person to you. So I feel like Bill has my loyalty and everything, but I haven't always been respectful. I think, you know, I've done a lot of things to make fun of him, because I feel like a lot of people have made fun of me, and that's why I really want to take a moment to kind of express, you know, how much I really value Bill Leib. And so, you know, some of the pictures I have here, you know, so I'm in the process of trying to move out. Most of my stuff is in storage. And this is some of the stuff I had in the box here with my, you know, photo album and stuff that I just wanted to keep home until I move. So I really wish I had a picture of like Rosie and my mom, but so these are some of the people that are really important in my life. So there's my dad, you know, obviously one of the most important people in my life. So, you know, now I don't like to worship or put people on a pedestal or anything like that. Like, you know, if there's any such thing as God, I wouldn't believe in worshiping that either. But what we should do is honor any such being, you know, for giving us life, for giving us all the good things in life. And then, you know, honoring people like your mom and dad. Like, you know, my mom and dad are really some of the neatest, coolest, most interesting, funniest people you'll ever meet. And I really appreciate them very much, no matter what I say about them, right? Similarly with Master Tay over here, he's a really cute little Chinese guy. He's very intelligent. I really value him quite a bit, no matter what I say about him. And same with Bill Leib. Bill Leib is a living treasure. I don't think anyone in the world values Bill Leib as much as I do. I really, you know, I need to explain why I value him to this day. Even though I've had all these different little problems, I've been able to still see the value in that, no matter what I say about him, Bill Leib has got to be like my most favorite person. Now the difference between him and all these other people is they've been there for me. Like my dad, my mom, you know, they've sacrificed their life to bring me up and bring me into this world, you know, right? And then Rosie Clearlight, you know, coming here to live with her, she's given me a taste of friendship that I could find nowhere else. Living with her and her last boyfriend, Gary, they showed me what it's like to live with two people you can trust, people that never use narcissistic abuse. You know, I always had a safe place to come to. These people are always happy to see me. See, so, but Bill Leib has been kind of a distant acquaintance. Like, he tries to be polite to me. Sometimes he says nice things. But he hasn't really done anything for me yet, and he sort of stood back and let all this bad stuff happen to me. So he hasn't really been a friend, and he hasn't done a whole lot to stick up for me. And I feel like he's been in kind of a bad position, though, because, like, you know, he was having marital problems when I met him. So, you know, maybe a part of him was interested in coming to my house and listening to Richard Kirk. We were going to smoke some cheap Mexican brickweed. I was going to let him pet my bird. Here's me in my Frontline Assembly shirt holding my bird. And when we left to see the show that night, my bird growled at me really loudly, and I said, oh my God, it kind of reminds me of Bill Leib. So I thought it'd be fun to introduce Bill to this bird. So Captain is a Blue Crown Amazon, so I'm going to tell you about that later. Oh yes, I would have been like that, you know, that Saturday Night Live, touch my monkey, touch my monkey. Ha ha ha, go pet my bird. Like, see, it's a good thing Bill Leib didn't come to my house, because if that bird would have snipped off one of his fingers, That would have been the last funky-ass bass line, right? So maybe it's a good thing they didn't come to my house, but I was inviting him and his wife over. I would have played my keyboard for them. I would have explained my background. And I was just thinking, you know, maybe I should look into joining this band, because I've had all this visionary stuff. And so before I contacted Bill, like, I got this phantom call from Rosie Clearlight, and she's the one that talked me into it too. So Rosie's kind of like this weird connection with Bill Lee, because she was the one that had him in Key West. She was the one that talked me into connecting with him later. And then I came to Montana because she was the only person that wasn't against it. Because when she met her second husband, she felt like she almost knew him already, because she kept having visions about him as well. And then her third husband was the Buddhist Zen monk. So the second husband ended up wanting to have multiple women, you know, kind of like Bill Lee, you know. So it's kind of funny. So she kind of warned me not to let something like that make me fall in love with a person, you know. So I might have a meaningful connection with him, but don't, you know, get too carried away. And the only concern she would have for me is if this person's mentally abusive, then she doesn't condone it. But, you know, if she wanted me to learn to trust my own feelings. If that's the way I feel, that's what I should act on, you know. And so a lot of people are like, no, don't do it. And so most people are just like, Jody, you're delusional, you're crazy. Well, the whole problem is we haven't been able to communicate fully 100%. There's always been kind of this distraction where, like, okay, so I finally got I moved to Big Fork and I got in touch with Bill Lee, but then he had that mean girlfriend, and we ended up fighting a lot. And in fact, so me and the ex-wife kind of made friends over it for a little bit. And but then when they started getting back together, you know, I think I had a conversation with her where she just got really condescending and just told me, you know, I'm just obsessing over something I imagined. So she doesn't really respect or appreciate my story. She just thinks I sound like I'm high on drugs and stuff like that. And so she just doesn't understand it. But, you know, I just figure, you know, that's why I kind of want to explain it from beginning to end. I just feel like if people could understand what I've been through and what's caused me to want to go meet Bill Lee, you know, then maybe you could understand why I kind of got tricked into it, why I still care about it to this day, and why it's still an issue I need to resolve, because a lot of things went wrong there, and I feel like that was meant to happen that way. There were a lot of lessons in that. So what we're doing globally is we're getting ready for end times. This is what Bill Lee is talking about in his music, so it might tie in with my agenda as well, because when I came to Rosie, I was also trying to, like, I'm really trying to hone my psychic abilities, and that's why I liked my Kung Fu teacher, Master Tay. That's why I liked my Wushu Kung Fu teacher, Ron Curran. These people have helped me, because I feel like I'm a little bit psychic. I'm not that great, and this is what I think is the key element to my creativity and my discernment. And so this is where my discernment is being challenged by these visions, you know. So my visions are teaching me, you know, not to take everything for face value, for one thing, even if it comes in a special magic way. So like some people think they've talked to Jesus, some people think they've talked to angels, and maybe they're not, you know. Maybe it's just an illusion or another being pretending and taking advantage of our lack of awareness of spirit world. So, you know, so we're dealing with, you know, I might be going to visionary state, I might be talking to an otherworldly being, and this is an exciting part of my life, you know. And I know this has been happening as long as human history, but I really think it deserves to be looked at and honored and respected as a real life thing. But, you know, we're still in a society where skepticism weighs into that. It's not happening, it's just my imagination. But I'm finding that there is truth in it, just like that movie Contact, when the woman went into the other realm, and the alien, it wasn't her dad, it was just an alien, and they wanted to put her into the psych ward until they figured out that she was gone for 18 hours. Once they had proof, then they were like, we're sorry. So I feel like that's what's happening, is people want me into the psych ward unless they can get proof. And the only proof I've got is you need to go to visionary state yourself, or maybe just hear enough accounts of it. So this whole thing is being squashed by the bad reputation I'm getting from Bill Lee, simply being aloof and not being able to reach, because now that he remarried the ex-wife, he's probably scared of her. Now, something about Rosie, she is a little bit clairvoyant and all that stuff. She has life experience and insight that most people don't have. And I was telling Rosie, I said, you know, I shouldn't have to worry about Bill Lee anymore. I think I should be ready to let it go, because now that he's back with his ex-wife, I'll never see him again. We couldn't be friends even if he wanted to be my friend, because he's afraid of her. And when I showed that picture of her to Rosie, she said, wow, that lady looks like she could really punish somebody, Jody. And it started making me think, well, you know, that's kind of why I've been getting my ass kicked over the years, because of her punishment. I was facing social persecution for trying to get a married man in bed all this time, even though it took me years to figure that out. That's what this has all been about. So I've been getting punished by her. And I think Bill Lieb really had to kiss her ass, because the way she was punishing him was she was taking his money. And if he didn't remarry her, it was probably going to run him broke. So I think he really had to beg and plead, like, I love you, I love you. Who knows what he had to do. All I can tell you is it looked like he was taking her places and buying her things, you know, spending a lot of money. And then I'm just like, oh, I get it. Because, you know, I decided to get a hold of him one more time, and he sounded super happy to hear from me. He sounded like he sincerely wanted to talk with me, but then he quit taking my calls. And so that's where I'm like, what's going on here? So I was trying to figure out if he was trying to get back with his wife, and she gave me a vague answer, like, well, we're on good terms. I was like, well, she didn't really answer my question. So then there was this other chick kind of flirting with him. I thought, well, maybe that's his new girlfriend. So I got a hold of her, and she's like, well, we're not really together. You know, he's trying to go back to his ex-wife, but we're going to, like, you know, screw one more time before they do, you know. And so I told her about it. I said, well, it sounds to me like he's got another girlfriend, so I don't know if you're ever going to get him to stop, you know, sleeping around, you know. So that's when she really bit my head off, and I quit talking to her. And she's like, you know, the problem with you is blah, 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 blah. Well, my answer to that was, you know what makes me crazy? Narcissism. Narcissistic manipulation. That's what makes me crazy. And so anyways, because all that shit went so badly, I feel like I've said a lot of things that don't reflect my feelings for Bill Lieb. So like I was saying again, like Bill Lieb and Rosie were both introduced to me in the Visions in 1982. And then later in life, I actually met them both. The first time I saw Bill Lieb was in 1996, probably April. And when we made contact, eye contact, I could see like a blue spark, and I felt like whoosh. And then when I was waiting in line, I felt somebody put their hands on my shoulders, and I thought, you know, that could be my dad's friend. My dad's friend was in the music scene, and he works a lot of shows and stuff. He didn't say he was coming to the show, but whoever put their hands on my shoulders, I thought that could be him, because he's like, it's like an adopted uncle, you know, somebody that loves me. Or it could have been one of my ex-boyfriends, somebody that I dated a little bit, might have showed up. I felt like somebody that really loved me was putting his hands on me, and when they went by, it was Bill Lieb. Well, I came back after the show to see him, but my my date ran off on me, and I didn't want to be left alone at the tour bus, and I didn't want it to look like I'm trying to, you know, do anything naughty with the band members there, right? So I'm not that kind of girl. I only know one person that I've ever had sex with, because he's a real friend. Most of the time, when you have sex with people, you can't stay friends. So I never wanted to get Bill Lieb in bed because of that. And I kind of felt like in 96, I felt like Bill Lieb just looked like such an arrogant guy anyways, you know, and he wouldn't talk to me on the bus. They kicked me out. And then he put his hands on me, so it made me feel like, well, maybe he thinks he could, like, score some pussy. I don't know. So I was just a little bit paranoid. I didn't want to get left back alone, because, you know, a woman being alone with a man implies that she might be available. So anyways, I'm sure it would have been a great time, but I didn't want it to end there. I want to have a friendship with Bill Lieb. So in 98, when I got accused of trying to get him in bed, that was again inaccurate. I was trying to take him home to let him to smoke pot and listen to Richard Kirk, and I even wanted to invite his wife. That would have been perfect. That way, you know, I'm not trying to get him in bed. You know, she would be right there to, like, be involved in the conversation. And I thought, you know, when she introduced herself to me, the name rung a bell, but, like, I didn't know who she was. I thought maybe she was the band manager. So I was, like, trying to, like, I was going to get my keyboard and give them a demo, you know, like, I was just trying to show them my demo. Anyways, with that being said, I made friends with Rosie shortly after meeting Bill Lieb for the first time. And the difference is, like, he's been kind of a distant acquaintance, but she became a close friend of mine. I ended up moving here to Montana to live with her, and it's practically like I'm an adopted family member, because, you know, I lived closely with them, and when she died, you know, I was there with her till her last breath. I was the one that sang to her and held her hand till she died. And now I'm dealing with all of her stuff. I still have her remains here, and I want to make sure that her and her husband, Howard Clearlight, received the right honor for what they've done as part of American history. And similarly, you know, if I was in the same situation with Bill Lieb, if he was somebody like Rosie Clearlight, who just liked having me around as much, if he felt that connection with me, if he was nice to me, if he was happy to see me. See, they gave me that safe place to come to, somebody I can trust. If he was that kind of person, as far as I'm concerned, Bill Leib could spend the rest of his life with me, and I would take care of him just as much. So he's just at least as important to me as Rosie was. And I care about him as much as I care about my family and everyone else. But the difference is I don't really know Bill that much. I only know him a little bit, so it's sort of like, it's sort of a gamble. And the reason I kind of feel like I've always wanted this to work out, because he's been imprinted on me so much, it's very difficult for me to replace him. Like, I can't really fall in love with another man unless he makes me forget about Bill Leib. And so I just feel like, since, like, you know, he's like really the only person I could offer that to, like, you know. And it's nice because I probably don't even have to do any of this. I'm sure I'll probably never see him again for the rest of my life. But I'm just saying, this is how much I value Bill Leib. I would personally take care of him for the rest of his life. And if he was like in really bad shape, like the stuff I'd seen Rosie do for her last boyfriend, I would do stuff like that. Like, it was, you know, nasty up close and personal. A lot of people, you know, when they want to partner up with somebody, they're looking for what they can get out of it. Like, you know, this is a nice guy with a lot of money. This guy's a rock star. This guy does this for me. This guy does that for me. And the way I see it, when you partner up with somebody in that level, you got to look at what you're willing to do for them, regardless of what they can give me. So regardless of what Bill Leib would ever do for me, even though I don't even know him, even though he stood back and let me eat shit all these years, I think that I'm a loyal and caring enough friend, in the true sense that I would actually take care of him the rest of his life. Like, if he was an old man in diapers and I would have to give him his bath, I'm just saying, you know, like, I'm willing to take care of him. Like, even though I'm not his best fan, I haven't been the best friend, maybe I've said a lot of mean things about him, but I want him to know, if he sees this video, that I really do love him very much. Probably one of my favorite people in the world. I'd do anything I could, and you know, and there's some limitations to that. But you know, if this is somebody that's mentally abusive and is somebody that's going to make me cry, you know, I mean, seriously, I wouldn't, you know, go back to live with my mom and dad unless they could also provide me the same kindness too, see? So if I were to go back with my mom and dad, let's say my dad's yelling at me, or my mom's, you know, getting drunk all the time and then crying in front of me and being like, no, you know, like, if those guys were putting me through too much stress and drama, I wouldn't even want to live with my own mom and dad. See what I'm saying? But, so that's where, like, you know, it is conditional. I mean, my loyalty and love is always unconditional to those people who I love, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stand in your shit, you know? I'm not going to stand downwind from all your farts and enjoy them. Standing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but I'm just saying, you know, because I've done so much damage, you know, like Bill's song, the damage is done, maybe it's too late, like, and maybe this sounds even crazier, like, you ever see that movie Misery, where that lady's like, I'm your #1 fan, and this writer ends up locked up in her basement with both his legs broken, and all, you know, like, I'm not that kind of person. Like, psychotic is somebody that, they don't care if you get hurt. Psychotic is crazy, they don't care if you get hurt. Now, psychosis, I think I've gone through a spell of psychosis. Maybe that's somebody that they think stuff is happening that's not happening. Dementia, schizophrenia, all that stuff. So maybe I've been there. Maybe I've had a psychosis-inducing experience that has put me there, but at the same time has opened my doors of perception onto the other side. I think that I'm bringing back valuable confirmation that is being smothered by this whole Bill Leib story. And so what I really need from Bill Leib is just to have a real face-to-face conversation where we can find resolve. It's more my issue than it's his. I'm sure, you know, he could care less. But I just feel like this is something that needs to happen as soon as I can. And that way, when I get into my project, I would just want to kind of start with a good sense of mental health. I don't want this to keep hanging on. And so I appreciate Bill Leib, because yes, he's been friendly to me. I think, you know, he wishes me well. You know, he's like, I hope you're okay. I hope you're fine. But the problem is I feel like he's just sort of been breadcrumbing me all this year. It's kind of like, sure, I'd like to talk to you, but I can't because, you know, kind of like he's got that irritated woman there, or, you know, the one that's with him now, like, I think he's afraid of her because she's the Punisher and stuff like that. So, like, I just feel like I want to give him a chance to really communicate but he's being kind of stifled, so I feel like, you know, I can't get him on the phone and just have this conversation with him. So I got to make this video, and then maybe I'll send him a text and see if he'll watch it. Or maybe, you know, maybe he won't watch it because he doesn't want someone to see him watching it. I don't know. So it's very difficult because, you know, as much as people have been pointing the finger at me and saying, Jody, there's something wrong with you and you need to da-da-da-da-da, there could be something wrong with him. And that might be why he needs a special person in his life. Like maybe that's why he had to come back to his wife. There's other people that can't help him because of his condition, if he has one. And so that's where I feel like he has special needs. Well, if I'm a special needs person, then people shouldn't be attacking me verbally. You know, I shouldn't be dealing with mental abuse for being a special needs person. If I'm autistic or if I have a mental condition, you know, I could be autistic. That might be why it's hard for me to fit in and why people think I'm crazy. But I think that I'm a safe and responsible adult, and that you know, I look out for the safety of others and stuff like that, you know. I mean, maybe I'm sloppy in my ways and I say a lot of stuff I don't need to say, but I don't think psychotic is fair. I don't think calling me a stalker is fair. And I want to explain how I was set up and all that stuff. So I want to explain all this stuff, but with the understanding that I really do love Billy very much, and anything I say, kind of like, you know, I really want to honor him for being a very great artist. There are so many people who are lucky they even get one good song written in their entire life. He's done a lot of great material. So that's where, like, I can't complain if I didn't like his last few albums enough to buy a copy or listen to more than once. Because he's written so many great songs, he doesn't need to write another great song. He's one of the best in his kind, you know. So, a very valuable person. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience that can't be replaced. I really don't think anyone could, like the people that are keeping him from me, I don't think any of those people could possibly value Billy as much as I do. So before I tell you the rest of my story, because if I say stuff that sounds like, so I want to make it clear that I'm not slandering him, I'm just sharing like what people have said to me and what I've thought. But I just want to, again, it's very important. Please understand, this is somebody I care about them. I would actually take care of them in person. This is somebody, like, he's the only person I could really even offer this to. So I'm not interested in making him look bad. But what I'm trying to get people to do is see what's wrong with our music community, the paradigm that we're in. So like the narcissistic system that Bill Lieb's been a part of, and what's happening to the industrial music community. I kind of want to wake people up to what's going on. So I'm not just complaining, I'm just providing, what I'm doing is I'm illuminating. So there's been some darkness and I showed up with some light. People like, hey, turn that shit off. So I'm only stirring shit on by turning the light on. So you guys have a great day. For those of you who listen to me, this is more of a personal story. But again, we're part of a musical community that's a philosophical one, an artist community. And so the insight is to heal from this, and for me to find resolve. So this is where I need a positive outcome. And again, I need to be able to come face to face with Bill Lieb. He's been breadcrumbing me for 25 years. And I think it's time. It's been a quarter century of me trying to have a face-to-face with Bill Lieb where we've been separated by misunderstanding and miscommunication. Otherwise, I love Bill Lieb so much. I just want to hug him and kiss him and hug him and kiss him right in that big wrinkly forehead. You guys have a great day. I love you, Bill Lieb. I will talk to you next chance I get. Bye-bye now.